Hey everybody, welcome back to the K2N Online Paddle School. We are back here on YouTube, and we have another episode of the K2N vlog. So it is finally official. We are the US distributor for Viper paddles. So if you go on their website and you live in the United States and you try to order a small group of paddles or individual paddles, they no longer offer shipping options. So all the orders come through me, right? So I make a big bulk order. Yours is included on that. And once it gets here domestically, I ship it through USPS or UPS. So if it comes up in conversation, if you're on the Viper website, you can't get the paddles, they don't offer the shipping anymore. Keep in mind that K2N is the US distributor. You have to go through us now. We just put in the order for the next box of paddles. Again, this should be something that every 4 to 6 weeks we continue to put in new orders and turn these over. The more interest that we have in these products, the more that we can get them into the US on a consistent schedule. With that development, Viper offers discounts if you order, I believe, 5 paddles, and we are going to try and structure that in. So if you're ordering for a group here in the US, if you order 5 or whatever amount of paddles, we can save on shipping, and then we can offer that savings onto each of the consumers that are purchasing the paddles. So we should be able to keep extending on these group orders within the club dynamic to save you guys a little bit more money that way as well, right? Ultimately, we're just trying to price match what you find on the Viper website here in the US and make sure that you guys can get this. The biggest hurdle is tariffs. And so as of August 7th, getting these paddles into the US, there is an additional cost. So as consumers are buying these paddles, they're being contacted by shipping agencies and say, hey, we need an extra 10%. So now these paddles are getting astronomically expensive. It's very hard logistically dealing with all this. So having one US distributor makes the most sense. And ultimately, it transfers a lot of that savings onto the consumer again. So I'm able to absorb the tariff with a large order and with our shipping strategy. And again, it helps you guys out. And I think the best resource is you have somebody to bounce ideas on about blade sizes and shaft configurations and all these other different things that be very hard to navigate as an individual consumer. As you contact Viper, there is a little bit of a language barrier as you start to ask about these different products. So if you ever have questions about the different paddles and the difference between this and that, right, feel free to contact me anytime. That's what I'm here to do. So exciting for our club, K2N in Hernando here. We just participated in the Clearwater Classic. We raced in men's, women's, and mixed, which is the first time that we have fielded 3 full squads. We were able to host, I believe, 5 brand new paddlers that have never done an OC6 race before, and some of them have never done a race period before. It is really cool being part of the process of handing somebody a paddle, teaching them how to paddle, and then seeing it all culminate into going out and doing an event. In particular, our women's team, it is a team that I cannot help with at all. I am onshore as everything is in their hands, right? So it's a really cool experience to have them go out and put on a pretty good showcase. The depth of talent in our OC6 racing field is very high, right? So it's really cool to go out there, and it opens up the perception to our racers what we're trying to do here in Hernando, right? Why do we go through all this technique? Why do we have to train so hard? Why do we go through all this? Because when we put in a level of dedication to the sport, you will go out there and you will meet your match, and you will not place as highly as you perceive yourself to be. As the conditions get more tricky than we're used to here on our little lake, as you go out and meet younger, faster, more fit, more dedicated racers, right? It opens up the spectrum on the reasoning behind technique and why you have to strategize your approach to match that. For our club, I feel like we hit a lot of the metrics that we were looking for speed-wise and comparably to other teams. The depth of talent was a little bit steeper than I had anticipated, so our overall placing across the board was a few notches lower because a lot of other teams had a very good performance. In men's, we placed 4th, the women placed 6th, and then in mixed, we were able to take 2nd. Mixed has always been kind of our flagship race. This year has been different because we had to race men's and women's, so the majority of our canoe was racing a second time versus historically, that is the only race that we do. So everybody is on land, nice and dry and fresh as a daisy, ready to go out there and try to win that category. So still making the podium within the mixed field, even after fielding 2 other teams and having to double up personally, and again, the majority of the boat doubling up. That was a very nice hurdle to clear, right? It sets us up in the future where that is usually our flagship crew, and then the other ones are going to continue to get better as time goes on. Winning is not always the standard or the metric for success, right? There's a lot that is going on in moving parts here. And overall, putting all those teams in and doing decently is very encouraging for the future, right? This can only get better as time goes on. My wife and I raced in mixed OC2 together. We were able to go first overall amongst the canoes, and we were behind, I think, 6 or 7 surf skis all total. All the surf ski guys, super legit, right? We were just unable to catch up or even stay with the majority of them. But overall, this entire weekend was a huge success, right? As a coach, a race organizer, a club organizer, getting all these different boats out, racing in small boat crafts, individually having to be in great shape, trying to convince my wife to paddle hard while I paddle easy and rest in the back and still pull us to a victory. All of these things are part of that. And then to add on to that, delivery of paddles at the event, talking about paddles, making future sales, people planning to do lessons and clinics up here in Hernando or trying to schedule something in their area. I think one of the nicest things about the race was a lot of the racers that did very well have interacted with the K2N Online Paddle School directly. And it's very fulfilling in a way. Like, that's the whole point, is to create paddlers and raise the bar of the skill level in Florida to push everybody up, right? If a long time ago I just sat and hoarded all of this knowledge and information and the ability to share with people for myself to bar you from having a chance to defeat me and my organization, we wouldn't progress to where we're getting to, right? And I find it very motivating that people are taking to these ideas. You can see it in action. You can see the tangible results of their progress and their results changing over time. These are the things that keeps pushing the boundaries of Florida racing, and I'm happy to be part of that in some small way. Excellent, so we have a lot of footage here at the end. Thank you guys so much for checking out the vlog episode, and we'll see you all next week for the next K2N vlog episode. All right, everybody, welcome to Clearwater, Florida. I timed this just perfect. Turned on the camera, sit in the boat, 3, 2, 1, and time to start paddling. The race start was a pretty quick one, so I'm glad I was actually in the canoe. And this is the men's race. This is the first one of the morning. It's about 8 in the morning here. And we're all aiming for a top buoy about 800 meters, maybe 1,000 meters away. It'll be a hard left turn leading into a second left turn. And we start to make it to this turn with 5 of us here. So there's 2 lead boats, 2 in the back, 1 on the far right side there. And we got a pretty good inside line following along. So we have a very safe turn here. I could cut it inside even more if I was running out of room. But overall, very clean. The outside boat tried to come to the inside, light tapping, no big deal, didn't really affect too much there. As we're going through, there's another left-hand turn. So instead of a 180, it's 2 90-degree left turns, made the logistics of these turns a lot easier. You can see how smoothly all the boats kind of finesse through these turns, which was excellent. So this was all the flat water section on the inside, and the canoes all here were super close, right? I mean, we're 4 deep here. There's 1 boat up in the front that we're all right behind. And so the flat water racing here was just spectacular, right? Really cool, really fun. I love being pinched between 2 boats here, all going in a straight line. So this was, you know, worth the price of admission, being able to paddle with the crew and keep up here. So as we go into the Gulf of America / the Gulf of Mexico, at the end of the jetty, we make a left-hand turn. I'm a little close to the lead boat here as they make their left-hand turn, and their tail can't swing out because my ama is hitting them. And I thought, spatial-wise, that they had more space to turn a little earlier, so we get pinched here making this left-hand turn. So we end up going out a little bit wider than anticipated, but we end up unlinking and start turning together. You can see the canoes start to turn, and now we're facing the correct direction. The other canoes are able to turn a little bit quicker. The men's race was make or break based on surfing ability, which is not something that most of us have the ability in OC6 on. You can see the swells are very surfable, and having a crew that could coordinate to push, surf swells, conserve energy, and go fast was paramount to success, right? It's something that my group just did not really have the skill set on, and so we suffered quite a bit. So the downwind section, we start to lose a lot of the teams. We end up falling to 4th place, and that position doesn't really change throughout the rest of it. I was hoping we would have more power on the upwind, taking the technical aspects out of it, but I think everybody was pretty tired, attempting to catch these swells, but not getting the rewards for it. And so we just held on to this 4th position as we kind of finished the race at this point. But overall, pretty good showing. We finished between the 2 canoes that I thought. We just had 2 other canoes that just had a spectacular day. We're able to surf much better in a coordinated fashion. This is the first time a Clearwater Classic OC6 race came down to team surf ability, and it makes it more fun, right? It brings another aspect to the game. Last time that we did this, it was all intercoastal course racing. So it was just your flat water, you know, horsepower. And if the race parameters had been that, I feel like our race team would have finished a little bit differently. But that's what makes racing fun and interesting. Our GoPro dies about an hour in, so we don't get the entire start, or the entire finish, excuse me. And this is Christina, my wife, steering the women's race. I'm giving the push-off here at the beginning. Chad giving him a good push-off. There was no rule about push-offs, but as you can see, it doesn't really change too much of the dynamic here. One of the interesting parts of this race is there's a ladies team that flips right there. You can see the armor go in the air and they hoolie. Just a bad collision of boats going side to side and getting pinned in there. It's all part of racing. Christina's top buoy turn a little bit more spacious. The teams are a little bit more spread out as they get to this top position here. She has another boat right on her tail here, but everybody's got plenty of room to make these turns. So overall, you know, just a nice easy turn there. The canoe on her side here is one that she's going to be battling back and forth with the entire time. This was a team that I thought they would be fighting for 3rd position with, but instead they're fighting for 5th place. Two teams doing really well. Our crew just kind of stacked up exactly where we thought, and other teams just, you know, filling their canoes with super fast racers and doing really well. So really exciting here. This is the first time the majority of this crew has been out on the water. You can see some of the ladies look a little stiff, right? But they're not used to, you know, some of these conditions and paddling in the unlimited canoe. There's a lot of new factors here. So overall, they were able to keep their cool and do their best. You can see Christina working hard to pull the unlimited tail around, doing her poke and crank outside the canoe, having to pull the sucker almost to a stop to try and turn it around here. And that canoe that is behind them ends up doing very well on the upwind section. So the next time that we see that canoe, it is going to be a little bit ahead of us. I think it was a 1 boat length difference. They took 5th place and K2N took 6th place here. But overall, this canoe had 3 first-time racers in it, and most of the other ladies don't have a depth of OC6 racing experience. Christina's the only one. And again, really cool, you know, getting them from the lake, building them up and getting them out here on these conditions and this course. This is coming into the pass, gives you a little idea of some of the water size. Christina making the left side poke more for stability than anything else. It's a shame to come this far and just hoolie as you're making one of the trickier turns of the race. But you can see for us, you know, the water's coming alive and most people just aren't used to it. So as we're coming in, this is about the finish position. Again, the GoPro dies before the actual finish, but this gives you a nice idea of how close these canoes were. Ultimately, that's the fun, right? Is having another team right next to you to push you and get a little bit better. And it gives you an idea of, you know, what to push for in the future in your training. Next up, we got the mixed race. So we're coming off the start line here, and we have the 1st place team on the left. We take 2nd, and then we have my buddy Flavio's in seat 1. If you watch us interact, you'd think we hate each other, but, you know, I think deep down we're like brothers at this point. So he's over there shouting at me, and I'm not relinquishing my line, right? I'm in the front, I'm going where I want to. So it's always fun rubbing boats a little bit there. And making the top turn, I was able to kind of fox my way in and make a little sharper turn, take the inside. This crew was just stronger, right? They were just, you know, most of them didn't race a first race. They came in fresh. They came in ready for this event. And you could tell, like right off the start line, it was a matter of horsepower that we just did not have today, right? So the difference between us and the next boats, you can see they're pretty far back. And so we very comfortably are up here in this position. I had accounted for the 3rd place team getting 2nd, us taking 1st, and I didn't think that this team would be as strong as they were. And again, a couple of roster swaps, people switching teams, paddling with different organizations will propel a crew to speeds that you can't account for, right? And there's not much you can do in your preparation. You just have to go out there on the race course and do your best, right? And see how it all shakes out. Happy that we still podiumed. I'm glad it wasn't like 5 teams, you know, getting super strong roster swaps that just crushed us. So we're still able to sneak on the podium. Every time we've done Clearwater, K2N has made the podium position, which has been, you know, a lot of fun here. So overall, yep, just going through the course. I think this one is actually out of position for, this is still going to the buoy. The last one was making the 180 turn. So this is a little bit backwards. So that's a little blooper. If you've made it this far, you get to watch me mess up on my video editing here. And then the GoPro dies before we get to the pass. And you can see the other canoe is probably, you know, about a minute or two ahead of us. we're praying for a huli at that point. It's the only way you can make up the ground. The next boat is about 2 minutes behind us as well, right? So we're kind of in no man's land, just kind of holding on to position and, you know, just paddling towards the end. It's hard to make up ground in the OC6s. Like, once you fall behind, it's very tough unless a crew really just falls apart. So that is all of the Saturday racing. Very exciting. Now we're here on Sunday. Very similar start. We're on land here. The OC2s get a huge advantage on the start because I can hold the canoe and then the OC2 partner can start paddling. So that's my wife in seat 1. She starts paddling. We start moving. And I want to point out that the first place surf ski is that black and green boat in the background, and we are ahead of him for 5 or 6 strokes. I have literally never been ahead of him in any context for any amount of time, ever. So very cool. We got 5 strokes in ahead of Jesse. Jesse, if you're watching this, I'm a huge fan. You can see him leading the pack there and all the surf skis. This section here is dedicated to one of our faithful watchers. We got Daniel. If you're watching, you're over there on the side. He's like, Robert, there was no drone footage. And I was like, dude, don't worry, I got you. You weren't fast enough to escape the camera in the beginning here. And so Daniel is in the green life jacket and hat. Hopefully that's K2N hat, I think it is. And as he's paddling there, we got Chad on the left side with the K2N jersey, Matt there in the middle, and on the right side is Flavio. Yeah, look at that. So all the super hardcore surf ski racers, and then the next pack is up in the front. There's 7 of them all total, it looks like. And then as we're going through here, it's a little bumpy, right? It's just a headwind, so it's not a lot of stability demand, especially for the outrigger canoe. And we're able to make this turn at the top buoy. There's a blue OC1 there. That's my buddy Jake. He is likely going to start kicking my butt on the OC1 circuit here in Florida. He had a really good showing. As we were doing this, we actually sped up a lot because I didn't want him drafting me and getting an easy ride, so I wanted to put some space on him in that first 1,000 meters. And this gives you a good view of the rest of the field. There's about 40 other canoes and kayaks and stuff behind us, and you can see all of them making their way up to that top buoy. We worked a lot to get up to that point. I got a lot of compliments for how fast we were, and we were definitely working to get there. So we make that top turn, and then everything after that turned into maximum easy. So just trying to hold position, but not trying to set any new, you know, world records in speed. As long as nobody's drafting you, they have to work hard to catch up to you, and then we always look back and see if they're doing that, can speed up later. There's a Clearwater bridge. The pass here, the current was ripping. We took a terrible line going through the middle here. Here is a dolphin in 3, 2, 1. Oh, look at that. There's a whole pod of them, and we were able to see a bunch. So our GoPro dies about 10 minutes from the finish line. This is us going back to the Clearwater Bridge. There's no position changes from the top buoy until the end. It's the same exact positioning all the way through the race. And yeah, so that's about it. Thank you guys so much for checking this all out. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions or anything, feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you all again for the ongoing support, and we'll see you all next time on the K2N vlog.